All right, welcome to today's workout. We have 3 rounds highlighted in red, rounds 1 through 3. We're going to do 3 sets of 3 exercises each. The first round consists of push-ups, a lateral strafe, and an overhead shoulder extension. Round 2 is going to consist of a flat laying torso twist. It's also going to consist of a vertical shoulder row and a diagonal shoulder pull, focusing on the shoulders. And then exercises 7 and 8 for round 3 include the clock lunges and the toe touches with the side crunches. And so I'm going to demonstrate each exercise and then provide commentary for each. And leading up to round 1, I'll include a stretching and neuromuscular activation routine. Right, and then also pay attention to the colors of the bands. They're going to determine how intense each exercise is going to be. All right, so I like to start with some stretching and warming up. I like to call this neuromuscular activation, and notice I just put one hand over the other and then switch it up. We're stopping the momentum of our arms. We are using shoulder muscles to stop the momentum of our arms in a certain direction, right? Just like so. So we stop the hands from touching. We go to our full range of motion, right? Just what we learn in yoga or any other stretching class. You're breathing in, you're breathing out, right? You're elevating the scapula, expanding the lungs, expanding the rib cage, all right? These require muscles to move. We need to stimulate these motor neurons. All right, that's a little internal, external shoulder rotation. I like to rotate my arm in and out when I do these. Then we're gonna do a scapula stretch, a rhomboid stretch, all right? This is where the postural muscles are. We're going straight out. We're pushing straight out. The lower back stays in position. The head stays in position. And we push straight out, breathing in, then breathing out. Breathing in, and breathing out. All right, stretch for about 15 to 20 seconds. Same here, we're gonna reach back with a shoulder extension. And we're gonna stretch the shoulder area, the pecs, the shoulders. We're breathing in deeply, breathing out. All the way in, all the way out. We're elevating the thoracic area. We have to expand the thoracic area in order to facilitate the lungs expanding. All right, and then we'll go ahead and assume a hurdler pose. And we'll just do a hamstring stretch. And again, depending on our range of motion, we're going to want to pull ourselves in and stretch that hamstring. You'll feel an inner hamstring stretch. And I like to use that right arm to touch that left toe just to see where my flexibility is. And depending on what time of the day it is too, will determine how flexible we are, how sensitive our muscles are. We switch legs, do the same thing. Change up our position a little bit. Try to keep our backs straight. Notice my back kind of hunches over a little bit naturally. And I wanted to kind of give a different angle here so you could see that. But I'm trying to isolate the gluteus muscles, the hamstrings. And it's just a basic stretch. And then I'll lean in with that left hand to the right toe just to test my flexibility. Give one last great stretch there at the end. All right, we want to warm up and activate the twisting, the torso twisting muscles. So I'm just gonna put my left leg over the right leg, which is straight, and I'm going to lean and twist that leg over. Switch positions here. The left leg over the right, and then I'll twist while keeping my shoulders on the ground, keeping my arms on the ground. And we can twist as far as we need to. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And you're going to allow that position to fall on its own. And if not, we need to basically twist ourselves, so we're using proprioceptive stretching. And we're just going to go as far as our bodies allow us to go. If we are able to straighten our leg out, that's fine too. But we just want to cross that leg over, in this case the right leg over the left. Keep the left leg straight, keeping the shoulder blades on the ground, keeping your arms on the ground. And we just want to naturally breathe in and breathe out and allow those muscles to fall where they will naturally. And if not, we need to push ourselves to increase the range of motion of our vertebrae. All right, I like to go into the dog pose just to relieve pressure on the vertebrae. We have a lot of compressive forces. We have a lot of shear forces happening when we're exercising. Throughout the day, we're bending over. We might not like to bend the knees, bend at the hips. So we bend at the back instead, and we introduce a lot of shear forces. That's not necessarily a terrible thing if we're in shape, but a lot of us aren't. And for those of us who are, we still want to we're trying to strengthen those muscles, the erector muscles. We're stretching those muscles. And we want to alleviate some of the compressive and shear forces that we present ourselves throughout the day. All right, so we'll grab our flat band. And I like to do this basic type of movement. Firstly, we're twisting slightly. Secondly, we're putting a lot of tension on the band, rotating, and then reducing the tension. Putting tension, rotating, reducing tension. Tension, rotate, reduce. So I'm stopping momentum. Notice I'm going to stop momentum right there. It's very, very easy, very basic. I'm only going to do 8 to 10 of those. I'm not doing many. We can do an entire 3 sets. I can incorporate that stretch as an exercise in our workouts if I wanted to. And now we're going to anchor the flat band behind our backs. This is something we've done once before. We can do internal, external rotation. Well, primarily internal, but we're just stretching. Notice I've got the shoulder at a 90-degree angle from my body, and I'm twisting. I've got my legs staggered as if I'm walking. And we can just switch it up. This gives us different resistance at different angles of the shoulder. I think it's fantastic. This is a great stretch. This can be used as a great exercise. And I'll give you a different angle so you can see how I'm anchoring this thing. All right, we're anchoring the flat band behind our backs. And we're going to twist, maintaining our position, our pose. We're just going to twist a few times, right? No problem. That's all. We keep our balance and we pose in our position. All right, so this is a hanging hamstring stretch. This was recommended to me by a colleague. I like to use it. I've got tight hamstrings. I have a sciatic issue on the right side of my behind, which also leads to mechanisms for other ailments like my right heel. So I have to be very careful. I have to stretch myself. Now, I'm changing this up from that, what I just did, which is a regular, stretch where you lean over, you're tilting your pelvic area, legs are straight. In this case, the legs are bent. This is a little more ergonomic. It doesn't disposition you too greatly, right? And so that concludes the stretching. So we'll get ready for round 1 and set up our gear to get ready for round 1. We've got 3 exercises coming up. This is the first of 3. All right, so we're going to begin with 3 sets of push-ups. We're going to do 1 set here. We're going to stick with how we do our regular rounds. We're going to do 10 push-ups, all right, or as many as we can. If we can't do 10, we're going to do as many as we can. And we will do 3 sets of as many as we can. So I just did regular push-ups. Now I'm going to do modified push-ups, no problem. We want to keep our elbows tucked towards our sides. We're going to bring our chest down to where our hands are. 10 easy ones. And we jump up. We're going to grab our loop band, and we have a lateral strafe. All right, we're doing a lateral or side-to-side movement, and we're going to use a medium resistance band today. You can use a light one if you want. We're going to graduate to a medium if we've been using light though, and we're going to move from side to side, pointing in the same direction. Feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, hips slightly flexed, back straight, and we are reaching that lead leg out. Now coming back, it's the right leg that's the lead leg, and we're just going to reach it, stay in like a basic warrior stance, I call it, and just strafe. This is a hip abduction. I stayed pointing in the same direction because if we go down to the left, we have to come back to the right to work both hips. Now, just to show what I'm going to do here for the third exercise, I'm going to be using my tube resistance bands, right? And I've got my handles anchored to both sides, are connected in both ways. See that? Excellent. Then we're going to go back here and anchor the resistance band. We're going to try out the kneeling shoulder extensions one-handed today. We're not going to do two-handed. We will do one-handed, nice and easy. But this is just to show how we can anchor the band. If you were to anchor the band all the way above the door, let's say you anchor it to the door frame, we want to anchor it near the top, and I'm going to run the resistance band through one of the handles. All right, notice I did that at the top, and then we come back down, and I'm going to grab the resistance band like so. I'm going to kind of bunch it up at the end just to make the right amount of distance for me. The starting position is right here. We want a little bit of tension on the band to start. Notice I'm going to breathe in and then breathe out, keeping my back straight, keeping those hips in position. We don't want them tilting. We don't want your hips flexing or extending. We want them straight. We want the back straight. And so we'll switch arms here. Breathing out. Reset. Get that full range of motion. Let the resistance band bring your arm up naturally on its own. It's as if somebody else is helping you stretch, which is a good thing. Sometimes it's important to have folks help you stretch. And we are extending the shoulder. Extending the shoulder. Great job. And this is where we gear our equipment up for round number two. We just did 3 sets of 3 exercises each. All right, and now we have the flat laying torso twist. We're going to try this out again, all right? With knees bent. Notice we stretched earlier, the stretch that we did. If we are unable to do these, we are going to revert right back to that stretch, period. If we can't do these, I recommend doing them with bent knees, which you'll see me demonstrate here towards the end. We want our backs flat and straight on the ground. And this is bending knees to make it a little bit easier, but the shoulders are flat on the ground, all right? So we jump right up. And again, we're going to revert back to the stretch that we used early if we're not able to do these, or the previous torso twist, okay? We have to practice it. We start by stretching and light movements in order to practice that movement. That torso twist is going to be highly valuable for us. All right, and so we pick up our two bands and we're anchoring the bands below both feet more or less shoulder width apart, and you can increase the width of your feet depending on how much resistance you intend on doing with your row. All right, shoulders are abducting. If that's too much, what we want to do is decrease the resistance if we're getting fatigued, and then we finish the sets. This is so that we focus not only on muscular strength but muscular endurance as well. Now we're focusing on the type 2 muscles as well as the type 1 muscles that have been fatigued already, those high explosive muscles, right? And we're just pulling straight up. We're keeping notice the shoulders when I push up or pull up rather, they're flat and straight. Working the core, the back, erector muscles. I was indicating where I was fatigued from that exercise. I always tend to burn out with those. And then we move straight into the one arm diagonal shoulder pull. All right. Notice we're anchoring on the right leg or under the right leg, keeping a distance where the tension can be felt on the band at about the length of your pocket. And then I'm diagonally pulling with the left arm. Again, this is going to be good for the deltoids, the shoulder, the trapezius. All right. So we're going to anchor with the left, pull with the right, and I want that tension right there to begin where the pocket is. The pocket of my pants. Right there, I'm pulling out of my pocket, right? And I'm doing a diagonal shoulder pull. So we're pulling to the 45 degrees roughly. Just to give a side angle. Same type of movement. It's a shoulder exercise. And that was the goal. All right, so we gear up for round 3. Round 3 is going to be 2 exercises, all right? So we're doing exercises 7 and 8. We've been doing clock lunges. We will continue to do so. These are a solid exercise, and as we gain confidence in our strength and our endurance and our capabilities and our abilities, we can start doing more of these high intense, longer movement type of exercises. We do 4 rotations instead of 3 today. And so we're spending more time exercising, doing this one basic movement. All right, so we're going to the side and diagonal, then to the front. We can go deeper depending on our ability. If we're feeling great, we're not sore, we're not too tired, go all the way down into the diagonal, straight into the side, back to the front, stay squared. We always want to stay squared. Keep the chest squared. Notice, we have to go backwards. I messed up. The last rotation, I always like to go back. Diagonal, stay squared. Side, stay squared. Diagonal, breathe out. Breathe out. And there's your 4th rotation. And then we move straight into the toe touches and side crunches. All right. Belly button pointing towards the ground. We want to keep the small or the lower back area on the ground as much as possible. And notice I'm not fully extending with my knees here. I'm extending about 3/4. Now I'm extending to about half, and now less than half. Notice I'm moving my upper body more than my lower body, and this is to not allow undue tension or stress on the back, the lower back, all right? See how I extended there? We're not fully extended. We're only going about halfway with the flexion of the hips. Notice I'm going to extend the hips, and then I'm going to bail. I like to bail right there, okay? Keeping my back pointed towards the ground, my belly button. Belly button pointed towards the ground, lower back on the ground. And if it gets too much, I just bail, just like that, okay? And then we go into a side crunch. So we have engaged the muscles of the abdominal area. And now we continue to, but we engage some of those side muscles, the obliques. We're engaging the hip flexors. All right, this is another way of doing it. If you can't have both feet off the ground, we can keep our legs on the ground, raise our left arm, just like so. And I like to feel those muscles just to ensure. What happens is that I found, this is with experience, that I found is that a lot of times you get fatigued in exercises like this, and what your body will start doing is using momentum to compensate for the fatigue of those muscles, and so those muscles won't even activate. You'll be working out other muscles and not even realize it. So I like to feel those muscles to ensure that they are engaging. And that's primarily right there. When you see me doing this, I'm raising that arm above my head, and it also creates a little more resistance. Great workout today.